Welcome back to the next video on machine learning, introduction to machine learning. Previous class we discussed about supervised machine learning and deeply into regression and classification, different kinds of algorithms used in regression and classification. So today we will be seeing the next category or the class of machine learning, which is unsupervised machine learning. So in supervised machine learning, we use the labeled data sets and depends upon the problem, whether it is linear regression or linear regression type of problem or classification problem, we try to use different kinds of algorithms. So right now, the real time data will not support or every time will not support labeled data sets. So we cannot go with supervised learning all the time. So that's why the necessity of unsupervised learning comes into picture. So unsupervised learning is a type of machine learning that learns from unlabeled data sets. Okay, so this means that the data does not have any pre-existing labels or categories. So basically, we use this labeled data set to train the model, and then when a new instance of data points are given, then using the learning that happens using the labeled data set, we can able to predict the accurate result. But now in the real environment, there are conditions where the labeled data sets are not available, or sometimes you cannot make all the data labeled or convert all the data into labeled data, because if you are getting gigabits of data, you need to process and it will be taking a lot of time and complexity to make it as a labeled data. So that's a necessity of unsupervised learning. So the goal of the unsupervised learning is to discover the pattern within the data or the relationship among the data set, which is not labeled without any explicit guidance. So we are going to tell you how the output will be. For example, you need to, if you load a data set and the machine learning model itself find the pattern or relationship within the data, and then it need to learn itself. So the task of the machine learning is to group unsought informations according to the similarities. So the first task is to find the similarities in the data. Then we need to, group into different classes. So this is how the process happening in unsupervised learning, especially when deals with unlabeled data. So this is the overall block diagram which explains the unsupervised learning process. So we will be giving the raw input data. So the raw input data means which is there is no label. A label is given for the data. That means we are not going to say that this is the output or this is the target. So this unlabeled data we fed into the machine learning model. Then interpretation, in a sense, it will try to collect or try to identify the patterns or relationship within the data. And since we are not going to give any kind of training, so once the machine learning model identifies the patterns or relationship in the data, it start learns, and then it will be able to process. And when a new set of data set is given, then it can able to classify or group into multiple categories. So this is how the model training happening and predictions happening in unsupervised learning. So basically, this unsupervised learning, the clustering algorithms are used. Either clustering algorithms are used, or we go for association rule. So these are the two types of um, approach we used in unsupervised machine learning, or types of algorithms we used in unsupervised. One is clustering based, the other one is association based. So what is clustering based? A clustering based problem where you want to discover the inherent grouping in the data, such as grouping customers on the purchasing behavior, or grouping the data into multiple, it depends upon the relationship within the data, we will be grouping the data into multiple clusters. So this is called a clustering approach. Then what is association rule? So association rule, it's a kind of problem where you want to discover the rule that describe a large data. For example, if you look into the customer point of view, a people or a group of people who buys a product called X also tend to buy a product Y. So the one data is related to the other data. So there is a relationship between the one variable to other variable. So there is there is a set of rules where we follow. If we do that, then that will happen like that. So this is how the association rule is happening, and based off the association rule, we can able to build up some relationship, and we can able to apply the learning here. That is association rule. So clustering and associations are the two types of algorithms we used in unlabeled data set we call as unsupervised learning. So we will see what is clustering in depth. So in clustering, it's a type of unsupervised learning that is used to group similar data put together. So how we are identifying the similar data means, if we are getting an unlabeled data sets, the data points, we will split the data points into different clusters, such that when a similar data points or the data points who is having some similarity with the nearby data set, where all these data set will be put together into a single group rather than, or a single cluster rather than putting them into different cluster groups. So this is how that's some kind of relationship it will be showing with the nearby data. Then those data will be put together as a single cluster. So this is how it works, and there are different clustering algorithms are used in unsupervised machine learning. One is the hierarchical clustering. The second one is K-means clustering. Then we have PCA, principal component analysis. Then GMMM, Gaussian mixed models. So DB scans, SVD, single value decomposition. These are the different kinds of clustering algorithms we use in unsupervised machine learning. Coming to association rule again is a type of unsupervised machine learning, and that is used to identify the pattern. Based on some rules, we will be able to identify some set of pattern within the data. So the association rule algorithm work by finding the relationship between the different items in a data set. So there are some common association rules algorithms are used. One is a priori algorithm, the other one is ECLAT algorithm, and the third one is FP growth algorithm. So these are the common algorithms that used in association rule. So by that we will be closing the introduction about unsupervised learning, and in the next class we will be seeing about reinforcement learning.